Right then, this is a partridge in orange pattern. This particular one's tied on a size 16 fulling mill wet fly, standard length hook, classic spider fly obviously. The fish down and across. You can also fish these sometimes dead drift even with on a check nymph pattern, and just let the current kind of work the fibres. Quite a versatile fly, but a very popular fly, and certainly something when there's blue wing olives about. It's certainly something that screams hatching nymph, basically. So yeah, it's quite a simple fly to tie once you grasp the techniques. It's as much over material selection as anything where the difficulties are encountered, particularly on the partridge feathers. So we'll show you some ways of handling that. We're just going to go in this instance with a straight selected hackle that's going to be doubled, tied in, minimalistic. Obviously, just a few turns of partridge fibres is pretty much all that's needed. It's tied using just some fine 8/0 Bennechi olive thread, straight onto the hook, and then simply with the partridge hackle that's doubled over. Okay, so let's see how we get on. Start with the fly in the vise, nice and flat. Now we're just going to form the body with the Bennechi thread. Just tie in loosely, and now we just try and form touching turns down, roughly to the point, and then back up, and then we'll go back down again, just to form a bit of, this thread's quite fine. You could go thicker potentially with the thread for this, or even potentially use floss, some people might prefer. Okay, so this is size 16. It doesn't need to be too heavy a body with such a small fly. They are tiny creatures after all. So now we'll get the partridge prepared. So this is how we select the feather for the partridge in orange. The vast majority of feathers on certainly on the back of the partridge will be too long to tie directly onto the fly with the doubled hackle technique that we're going to use. But you can get some from the very top area up here that might be okay. It's a little bit of a luck of the draw, really. Obviously they're fairly random in the size that they turn out with. There's two pulled out together there. I don't know if you can see how small these are. They're quite small in the tips. What we need to do is strip away the philo plume feather from the inside. Strip away some of the fluff from down the bottom. And now we start homing into the actual feather that we're looking for. Okay, now a little characteristic that I'm looking at here is that curvature that we've got around the side. Now clearly there's one or two there that are going to be wayward. We don't want them. But because of those tips there, if you can see, because those tips they're not following this profile that we've got at the top, they're actually on the sideways profile. because they're running down the length, what that means is they're the same length. Okay, and that is absolutely key to tying a nice spider pattern, where you want these tips to be from this area, because what that will do when I pull them aside now, okay, there's a bit of diversity there. Drop them down. But if you look at those ones, they're the ones that were off that profile. You can see they are actually, when pulled perpendicular to the stem of the feather, they're actually the same length. Okay, so that's going to give us, I hope you could see that whether it was on camera or not, when they're pulled perpendicular to the shank, they're the same length, which is what we're looking for. These ones at the front of the waist, we're not going to use them. Okay, so what I'll do now, I'll turn the feather around, put it in my hackle pliers, and then we'll separate these and trim the feather down so we're ready to use it. Okay, so let me just move this skin out of the way so we can see what we're doing. Okay, so now I'm going to pull the feathers back that I'm looking for. Okay, so the ones on the top are pretty much the same length. There's one on the bottom area. You can possibly see there where I've not quite got them lined up properly. One and another one. Okay, now hopefully you can see those perpendicular ones now. One got away then. They're the ones that are the same length. So what I now need to do is get rid of these ones. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that off, and then that's ready to tie in. So there's the Partridge hackle that we prepared. There's a little tip now for tying this in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab hold of the tips with my hackle pliers, and then stroke the fibres back, and then just retain them in that position, and that makes it really easy to tie in. Oops, I just lost one. Let me start again. I would not want to tie that one in with my tip. Okay, hopefully this is going to go over. Tie it in, nice loose wrap, and then we're in. And now I can pull it back. Keep tight sight of it. Okay. That's nicely tied in now. Try and keep a nice even thread base, as we do with anything when we're winding over a hackle. Okay, so that's now tied in, and I'm ready to wind the hackle. Okay, so simply grab hold of the stem with my hackle pliers, and this is where we do the doubling technique. Okay, now what I find is I like to pull the fibres up to an angle, maybe 30, 45 degrees or so, and then start the turn. Nope, it's not quite got it. Let's try again. Double the hackle, 30, 45 degrees, keep hold, and now we're going forwards. Double it again in front of where we've just been, and then that should be, if I can just get that one errant one into the line, that should be us done. I'm hoping I'm not going to catch that fella as I go round. So we need 11 fingers at this point. So as we're going around, just trying to catch in that one fibre. It's escaping me at the moment. One more turn and we'll be good. We're locked in. That's locked in now, so I'm happy with that. Back up to the top and we'll take that away. Okay. Just form a nice little neat head now. Okay. And now we're ready to whip finish. Again, just form a nice little head. Okay, now I can just dress these fibres up a little before I varnish, because what I'm going to find now is the varnish is actually going to hold some of these in position and give me a really nicely presented fly. Try to use the finish tool just around on it, just to gather these around in the right place. It's so delicate. I've got just that one errant one, just didn't want to sit in the right direction there. Let's put some varnish on that. That's pretty much as good as we're going to get, I think. Drop the varnish on the head. So that's a size 16. Partridge in orange. Lovely fly. Oops, I've got a bit of a globular varnish there. It's actually a little fibre that's loose. Yeah, size 16, partridge in orange, nice and sparsely tied. Classic fly, fishes really well. Blue wing olives, July, August time, June, July, August. Midsummer, spider down across. It's a classic pattern. Very sparsely tied, but the key there, as we said, was selecting the partridge fibre, the partridge hackle, and using the technique to tie it in properly. Okay.